Hello, everyone. I'm David Reed. Welcome to episode 75 of Dial the Gate. 75 episodes. We've been going since October. Boy, oh boy, quite a ride. And thank you for subscribing if you are a subscriber. 10,000 people, 10,300 subscribers, I think, last check. So just can't believe it. Can't believe our success within the past just few months here, and just very, very thankful for it. I have a wonderful guest standing by here. Mr. Garry Chalk is going to be joining us in just a moment. But first, if you like Stargate and you want to see more content like this on YouTube, it would mean a great deal if you click the like button. It really makes a difference with YouTube's algorithm and will definitely help the show grow its audience. And please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click the subscribe icon. Giving the bell icon a click will notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notifications of any last-minute guest changes. This is key if you plan on watching live, because these actors and crew, they are working, and things come up. And clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next several days on the gateworld.net YouTube channel. Really means a lot to me that you're here. And that goes the same for Mr. Garry Chalk. Hello, sir. How are you?
How are you doing? I'm good.
I'm well. I'm keeping busy.
So me too. Yes, it's been a crazy few months. I gotta say.
Absolutely.
Been funnily enough doing a lot of traveling, but it's not like you think. I'm going over to the island and worked over there a couple of times on films, and I've been in Calgary a few times working on TV series, and it's aside from the work, it's incredibly boring. You go to job, you go to the set, and you work, and that's great fun. You have a mask on all the time, except for when they yell rolling, and then the mask comes off, and then they yell cut, and the mask goes on. And you get tested every few days, and you get you've got to get your temperature and everything every morning before you come to work and fill out the questionnaire. But then it's just set, hotel, set, hotel. And in the hotel, everything's closed. All the restaurants are closed. So when, you get room service a little bit in the morning, but nothing else. So I've taken to ordering Chinese food in the hotel. Well, everything's closed.
Yeah.
There's only takeout to go. So it's hotel set hotel, and the same thing in Calgary or in Victoria. I just finished a film there a couple of weeks, a week and a half ago, and it was hotel set hotel, hotel set hotel.
Wow. I mean, it's got to be. I'm sure you're thanking your lucky stars that you're working. I mean,
yes,
compared to like everything it's just crazy to watch that everything. We've been doing this for a year now, and we have to do what we have to do to make things work.
Yeah.
So
exactly right. I mean, it's just been the thing is that as long as people follow the protocols and wear their masks and keep their distance and take those I'm going to decline this. Hang on a second.
Sure.
1 second.
Oh, gotcha.
Hi, Johnny. Johnny? Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm right in the middle of an interview, so. Oh, no problem at all. I'll call you back afterwards. Cheers, bye. All right, bye. My friend in London.
No, I hear you. Got to do what you got to do. It's all good.
That's it. Yeah.
So
anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So if everybody follows the protocols, I was hoping that everybody would just, stay home for a couple of weeks. It would die off and everything would be fine. Here it is now. We're over a year and it's not even getting better. I mean, it's sort of getting worse. In Canada, anyway, we've had a real upsurge of cases and down
even with the vaccines.
Even with the vaccines. Well, our vaccine rollout has not been great.
Okay.
I finally qualified and I get my vaccine a week tomorrow.
Okay. Wow.
But, despite the vaccine, there's still more cases and people think, well, I guess it's safe now. It's safe now. It's got to be safe now. Well, sorry, it's not. I just talked to I just talked to a friend of mine, Sam. He's recovering after a long bout with COVID. And I also talked to a friend of mine, Toby, who's living up in Squamish. He got the COVID way back when in last March.
Wow.
And he was one of the lucky ones where he said, "Yeah, I had the flu for 4 days, and that was it." But there are lots of people. I've lost friends to it. My cousin's mother-in-law was in hospital for several months with it. His daughter caught it, and the boyfriend caught it, and it's been real hellish. I mean, we don't realize it here because we have space, but when you're living in each other's pockets like they are
right.
in the UK, when you've got 12 million people living in one city,
yeah,
or 14 million or whatever it is, and
it's a completely different situation. 5. You've got to be very careful.
Everywhere, because it's an open border kind of. It's open border with the rest of Europe. Well, not now, but it was.
Right.
And people were free to travel all over Europe, so that spreads everything. My cousin hasn't seen his mother in a year.
Wow.
Not allowed.
Wow.
So I'm hoping that it's going to end very soon. I'd like for it to end very soon. We'll see what happens. But enough of the COVID. It's COVID.
I know this is true.
COVID. There's just too much COVID. Well.
The last
Funnily
time,
enough, there's a part of me that agrees with him.
The last time that you and I caught up was 2019. We were filming for season 2 of Dialing Home, and that footage did not get to be released. And to this day, I'm sorry about that. But I'm so thankful that you've come and joined me on my new show here on Dial the Gate. It means a lot to have you.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you. Just ask me the old question. You can relive the whole thing.
Right. So your relationship with the production team that was involved in Stargate goes back to MacGyver.
Yes.
So there were a few stories that you shared about MacGyver that I did not expect, and one of the coolest was you were doing pool tricks for them.
Yes, I did. I shot some trick shots for Richard Dean when he was doing this hustler scene in a pool hall, funnily enough, that I used to play in every day when I was a kid down in Chinatown. And it was called, no plug, it's closed now, it's called Yama's. And Yama's Billiards. And you had to buzz to get in. And it was mostly Asian guys there. And but they were all friends of mine from school. So we all played pool there every day, and then they had Richard in there doing this whole pool game hustling thing, but they needed someone to do a shot. Now, the scary thing about that was they had the original guy shooting it was a Canadian snooker champion named Bill Warbenuck, or Winnipeg Bill, as they call him.
Okay.
But he was on a tournament and he could not make the schedule to make the shot. So
now I want to establish that's not why you're there, right?
Huh?
That's not why you're there, to make that shot, right? Or did they call you in to do that?
They called me in to make the shot.
They did. Okay, yeah. I misunderstood.
So what happened was Bill couldn't make it. So production asked me, because they knew I played pool, if I would come in and do a trick shot for Richard. And I thought, sure, I know a few trick shots. Yeah, I can do that. And so I get there and he said, so this is the shot that Bill had set up. And I went, what? Oh, Bill had set this shot up. And the shot was 3 balls frozen together on the side rail, and the cue ball at an angle to those 3 balls, looking down table. And what was supposed to happen is the first ball goes straight into the corner pocket. The second ball comes off the rail, hits a ball, and goes in the side pocket. And Richard called the shot, and he goes, 3 ball in the side pocket off the white, or off the black. And so I went, oh, well, that's different. I don't know how this shot works. So I fiddled around with it for about probably about half an hour or so. And I marked it penciled with the where the ball to be placed so that when the middle ball came off the rail, it would just touch this ball and go in the pocket. And I finally got it set up. And you have to have a lot of bottoms on the cue ball to make it work. So I made the shot 3 times.
Wow.
3 out of 10. So they got the long shot and they got the coverage.
3 out of 10 times.
Yes, out of 10 times. And it was actually quite good. And they said, great, thank you. Made the shot and off I went. And Richard get credited for that shot. Then the next time he was doing a pool thing, my brother, who is also a pool player, but he is a pool champion.
Wow.
He they asked if he would play and if I could do another shot, but I was working on my other show, so I couldn't do it. So I said to my brother, "Hey, you want to make some money?" And he says, "Oh," he says, "Go and make a trick shot for Richard Dean on MacGyver." He goes, "No way, really?" And he goes, "Yeah." So my brother knows some pretty wild trick shots. And he made this shot. It's a masse. It goes 3 rails, 1, 2, 3, hits the ball off the pink spot and knocks it down to the corner pocket and freezes, blocking the hole. Well, he did that shot probably about 4 times, maybe 5 times, and made it 4 of the 5.
Wow.
But the one problem that they had was, in the practice when he was setting it up, the one problem is that the cue ball would always follow the ball in the hole. And he wanted the ball to stick so that it stayed right in the pocket. So what he did is he took a couple of drops of water and put it at the corner pocket. And when he slammed the ball, the ball does this huge, it's like a crescent. It's a masse. It goes like this. It goes, and it hits the ball and then freezes in the pocket. Wow. And that's exactly what it did. So that was pretty interesting. The things we do.
Yeah, no, exactly. And get paid for it.
I get paid for it. Yeah.
That kind of stuff has always blown me away because, it's those hidden talents that people have that you would never even know about, working on a project like MacGyver or Stargate. And, you also play guitar, to unwind. It's one of the things that you said. And people are so multifaceted, and so rarely do you get a chance to hear these kinds of stories. And this is stuff that, you do in your spare time. You do because you love it.
Yeah,
as well.
I do.
So
I absolutely love playing. I play music a lot. I was playing music before I was doing. Okay, here, you want to see some comedy?
Okay.
Well, it's not comedy, actually. It's
What is that? What am I looking at?
They're looking at you and me.
Oh gosh. Jeez, that's crazy.
This is from Doral, Florida. It's from a guy named Mr. Henshaw. Lawrence. Hi, Lawrence. Hi, Lawrence. How are you?
Hello,
I didn't
Lawrence.
realize you were watching. There you go.
I'm really proud of the show and the growth that it's been getting over the past 6 months. So it's not too bad for a TV franchise that's been off the air for 11 years. But
I know, it's amazing.
So your relationship with the likes of John Smith and Richard Dean and Don S. Davis. These are, Stargate cornerstones. And John Smith is rarely mentioned, but he was one of the people that was always making sure that those cogs worked. And I would love to have him on it at some point to talk about it because he was so crucial.
He's retired now, but John, I go back with John even before Stargate. Yes, he used to have tugboats and build boats in Gibson's Island. And he was the boat wrangler on a show called what the hell is it called? Beachcombers.
Okay.
On the Beachcombers, which ran for 20-something years.
Okay.
And he used to have his boat on the show called the Crystal Gale. And then he moved from that to production, and then and started producing other shows. And then Stargate was a big one for him.
Yeah, it was a big deal. And I mean, just his work cannot be understated. And I cannot skip your relationship with Don S. Davis over the years.
My best pal. Yeah, Don and I go back many years to MacGyver when he was standing in for MacGyver's boss.
Dana Elcar, yep.
Dana Elcar, yeah. And he was standing in there, and him and I worked together on that. And I also remember him doing voiceovers, and we worked on other shows together because we had the same agent.
Didn't you encourage him to do the voiceovers?
I did, yeah. Well, because he got that voice. I said, Garry, I tell you what, I do love to do this stuff. You know, it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Oh, he was terrific. I miss him so much. That's one of those guys, you know, he was a genuinely sweet guy. And you talk about a guy with hidden talents.
Oh, man, yes.
Incredible carver, wood carver, sculptor, incredible artist, painter. Just a great all-round human being, you know.
Absolutely. No, his website is still out there, thank goodness. I thought that I had lost it, and I managed to. I keep forgetting the name of it, but his stuff is still visible for people to see, and I think it's really important that that's out there. That his legacy continues to perpetuate itself. Very much so. And, you know, the nice thing about it is, you know, we can also turn on Stargate, and we can turn on X-Files and Twin Peaks and that marvelous role of his and see him. So, sure.
Yeah. His Twin Peaks, his monologue in Twin Peaks was so cool. I just loved that. I loved all this stuff. He's just a fun guy.
You're
not a great golfer, I got to say. I remember we went golfing one day, and I swear he must have lost about 25 balls. They would go everywhere, black down the middle of the fairway.
Jeez.
Oh, he was terrific. And a good sport about it too. You know?
He's out there to have a good time.
And the irony is, his son went to university in the States on a golf scholarship.
That gene must have come from the mother or the grandparents.
Oh, yeah, must have been. He didn't have the golf gene. But no, all those guys were great. You know, Michael Greenberg and Steve Downing. And, Steve did MacGyver.
Right.
I still talk to him he's retired now, but I still talk to him on occasion. Greenberg, I haven't talked for a while. I think he does.
Is he still involved with HBO? Oh, okay. ESPN.
The sports network, ESPN. Yeah. He's doing that. And Richard, I haven't seen for several years. I mean, because I haven't done a Stargate convention. I can't remember the last one I did.
It's been a while for sure.
Quite a while ago.
MacGyver ends, and John Smith says, "We'll get you a part." You know?
Oh, yeah.
At some point here. 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons, 5 seasons.
And then, we have a part for you. And I went, what? You have a part? Oh, finally. Yes, we have a part. It's a great part. I think you'll enjoy it. How's your Russian? And I said, what? I said, how's your Russian? I said, I don't speak Russian. He goes, oh, shh. We had this great part for you. You don't speak Russian. I said, how the hell am I supposed to speak Russian? What kind of... We're kidding you. We got a tutor coming in. You'll be with him for a couple of weeks. And it was true. And I'm still friends with him. He's a director in I think it's Mosfilm in Moscow in Russia.
Wow.
Alexander Kalugin. And
whom you terrified because you sounded like Stalin.
Sounded just like Stalin.
Oh my God.
I know. It was so fun. But I still talk to him too, and he directs cop shows and thrillers in Moscow.
Wow.
Nice guy, really nice guy.
And you
But,
worked
yeah.
on
And
a
I've
speech.
acted with him too.
Oh, you have?
Oh yeah. We acted on a couple of shows because he came as a guest star on my series called Cold Squad.
Right.
He came on as a Russian detective solving an international thing, then falls in love with the lead, Julie. And then we worked again on Stargate, and then we worked. Where else did we work? We worked on some other show where he was playing a Russian or something, but
Gangster.
it was kind of fun. So we got a relationship that sort of spanned over a few years. And he wanted to do a spin-off show from Cold Squad about this Russian cop who falls in love with a Canadian cop, and they solve crimes together. He gets special dispensation from the Russian police department, and have a spin-off series from a Russian cop. It was quite something. Well, you got to hand it to him for trying.
No, absolutely. No, his gears are going for sure. Garrett, you had spent 2 to 3 weeks on a whole Russian speech.
Yes.
For The Tomb, directed by Peter DeLuise. Tell us what happened.
Well, I learned. I went every day. I practiced my Russian. Подождите меня за дверью. Очень хорошо, товарищ. Doing all these things. And there was a whole big long scene in Russian, and I agonized over it. And I finally got it down. I got to set. And Peter said, yeah, it seems too long. We have to cut it. We only use the last 2 lines. I've been working on this thing for 3 weeks. And you're telling me that it's cut? Said, well, no, just this one scene. It's just too long. So we're just going to take the last 2 lines. And I said, the hell with that. I'm going to do the whole scene. So I did the whole scene. And he says, okay, you can do the whole scene, but we're going to cut it. And sure enough, I did the whole scene, but they only used the last 2 lines. And I thought that was ultimate in frustration. But then I got to speak Russian in other scenes throughout the show, and that was fun.
Absolutely. Fire rockets.
Rocketya!
Yeah. Exactly right.
Rocketya. And that was in the Kolya.
Aboard the Korolev in Camelot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. May she rest in peace.
That was a great episode. Too bad it was my last episode.
I know, but if you're going to go out, I know we're skipping ahead a little bit, but if you're going to go out in style. Visual effects glory. They spent some money.
Absolutely. That was a big show.
Take me back, though. Grade 2, elementary school.
Yeah.
You were in a class production of The Shoemaker and the Elves.
I was.
And started singing in choirs.
Yeah.
And this is how you started your craft.
Yes, I actually did my first television appearance singing choir.
Yeah.
On Ron Morier's Saturday Kids Party. And that was on CTV, or at that time it was called Chan TV, CHAN, an affiliation of CTV. And we sang Christmas choir, Christmas carols on the show. And they dressed us up in all these identical costumes, like sweaters and shirts and whatnot. I thought, oh, this is cool. I got a free sweater. And I tried to go home with it. And he goes, no, that's just a costume.
You have to return it.
It's a nice sweater and shirt. But I think I was, at that time, I was about 10, maybe 9. But Shoemaker and the Elves, I just got right into it. And I found that I really enjoyed performing, and I really enjoyed singing at that time. So I sang quite a bit. And I had a very embarrassing thing. This is what you call the teen cringe moment.
Okay.
I was doing a reading in my English class in grade 12. And I was reading The Barretts of Wimpole Street. and I was playing Mr. Browning, the husband or the boyfriend of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And I really got into it. I mean, it was really some really wonderful writing, and I was just in it, and there was not a pin drop in the class. And my teacher was staring at me like this, and he's just watching and watching, and the kids in the class are watching, and they're watching, and I'm going, "What are you looking at?" broke the magic, and my teacher said, "No!" It was so. He's going, "No, it went so good. What are you doing?" Oh, you madman! But that's what you call the teen cringe. I went, oh, shoot, I was doing good, and I thought,
right.
I'll be really cool. I turned into a total jerk. But then that sort of launched me, because then a friend of mine, Keith, said, you should get into the theater, man. I think you would love to do a play. Come on, let's do a play. Keith, his name was Keith Taverner. And I said, "Keith, I'm not going into a play. What do I want to do that for?" And he goes, "Lots of chicks."
There's women.
I said, "What?" He said, "Women. No, women, okay. All right, well, I'll try it." So my first big production was The Boyfriend. I played not Dr. Brownlow, Percy. And my one song that I remember was, "It's never too late to have a fling, for autumn is just as nice as spring, and it's never too late to fall in love." Wackadoo. And then there was girls dancing, and well, by God, it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and you get school credit for it.
And I got school credit for it, and I got a good review in the local rag, in the Richmond Review.
Hey,
a good review of my character. So they liked that, and then after that, I went on to do Camelot and Oliver, and but it was for fun. I didn't think of it as a money-making thing. I just thought it was fun, and so when I finished school, that was it for me. And I went in the stock market, and then changed direction a few years later, and I went back to university. Or I went to university, because I hadn't gone yet, because I had just graduated from high school. Well, I don't know, 1970. But in 1975, I decided to go back to university, because I wanted to be an English teacher and anthropology instructor. That's what I wanted. And one of my English projects was go down and watch a play in the theater department of the school in Langara. So I went down, and it was at Meissen, but the show was at Meissen Man. And I watched the show, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, wow, the acting is great. The production values are wonderful. This is what I want to do. I love this. And so I decided then and there to audition. And I did. And I auditioned, and I sang a song and did some scenes. And Anthony Holland, who taught the school, he looks up and he goes, "Well, you've got some talent, not much, but some. All right, you're in." And I didn't realize what a big deal it was to get into that school. I just thought, you try out, you get in. I said, no, you only take 15 people across the country.
Wow.
Per term. So I thought, okay, well, there you go. So I'm doing okay. So I got in, and my theater career took off after that. After school, never looked back.
There's some magic about communicating with an audience through story that you cannot achieve through TV or film. You can only just put the pieces together.
Yes.
And there's just something beautiful about it.
Yeah. But there's something about the immediacy of the stage, of getting on stage and making contact with people right then and there, and having them react to what you do is quite magical. That's why I love performing music, because you get such a great a great feedback from the audience, and I'm missing that tremendously right now
Really?
Because everything's closed. You know, all the restaurants, nobody's performing live music right now. I mean, I've done some on the internet a little bit, and that was fun. But it's not the same as having a crowd, you know, right there in front of you.
Correct. It's not the same at all.
It's not the same energy. But it's really exciting. It's so exciting.
Music is a shared experience. You know, I mean, you don't have to. Absolutely, you know, you can have a perfectly, you know, vital, right? But there is something about it that's temporal and immediate. That is just so.
Well, the thing about it is basically it's kind of like communion between you and your audience. And what you're doing is you're not playing to an audience; you're playing to a person. That guy right there. You're playing to that guy, that woman, that person over there. And each one of them is getting something different from what you're doing.
Right.
And what you're basically doing up there, and aside from singing a song and playing music, is you're telling a story.
Right.
And how compelling can you make that story? And how interested in that story are people going to be? You know? And if they like it, that's wonderful. If they don't, well...
I tried, you know.
I tried. Hey, all I can do is what I do. And a lot of the times the music I play is music that resonates with me, the music that I love. So I do that, and the audience seems to like it very much. And yeah, we had some pretty good crowds. So
hopefully
my
we will
friend
again.
Don's really suffering right now. So
really.
Oh yeah, all these European tours are all canceled.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
absolutely. I want to go back to Chekov. You took this character from this kind of brusque, you know, military figure to developing a little bit of a sense of humor. You could tell through the subtext of the show, and a relationship with O'Neill and with Hammond in a way that was very like a work relationship, not exactly palsy, but they found a space for each other.
Mutual respect.
That's exactly right, you know. And
mutual respect.
How was it building that character over 5 seasons?
Well, the thing is that human beings, when you cannot make a character unidimensional.
Right.
You know, there's no point in making a character and working a character, making one dimensional. And me not getting on with O'Neill, not getting on with Hammond, or, you know, castigating Hammond for something or O'Neill for something or blaming them constantly is boring.
Yeah.
You know, it's boring because that doesn't happen in real life. You have moments where you go, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
And then you have moments where, but, you know, it's funny. I kind of like you. You know, even though you are an asshole, which you are, but... I'm kind of liking you, and that's a good thing. I think, you know, on certain levels we can work together. So why don't we do that?
O'Neill came from a background where he was working Black Ops in the 80s.
Yeah.
So he was an American military man who would have just an innate issue with working with Russians.
That's
right. And you got to watch that struggle in that character in real time. Like Colonel Chekov would like a Russian to join SG-1 over my rotting corpse, sir.
Over my rotting corpse.
There was just certain things that he couldn't do.
The Russians first.
Right.
They always get killed first. You
That's
know,
exactly
like red shirt in Star Trek.
That's right. Only one Russian soldier came back alive, barely.
Yes. Yeah. All Americans, no scratch. I remember that one scene. All the Americans, they come back fine. The Russians all dead. What's wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
You know?
No, absolutely.
But I think there was also a little bit of the relationship that Don and I had, and the relationship that I had with Richard Dean, sort of shines through on a personal level.
Absolutely.
You know, just shove it through there, like. You just can't be, as I said, you just can't be one-dimensional. You got to have some. I just finished a show a couple of months ago, a series, and I can't name it because it hasn't been put out yet.
Well, good for you.
But the producers came back to me and they said, you know, we thought that your character was just going to be a one-dimensional bad guy, one-dimensional character with no nuance, but boy, oh boy, you brought something to the character that has layers and nuance and makes that character interesting. And I said, well, basically, thank you, but basically it's just human beings are not one dimension. Human beings are not one level. There's all kinds of levels that go with human beings, and that's all you have to do is be a human being. How do you react? That's the great thing about villains. You know, no villain ever says to themselves, I am a villain. I am an evil, bad person. They never do that. They never do that. They go, nah, I do what is necessary. This is my job, you know. But, you know, people just don't understand my methods.
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
But it's absolutely true, you know.
Have you seen Elephant?
Elephants. That's
Elephant.
No, I haven't seen that.
It came out a few years after the Columbine shooting, and it follows these kids who have, you know, given up on life and humanity and go in and shoot up a school.
Yeah.
I would argue that they know perfectly good and well that what they're doing is bad, and they have just completely given up on existence. But those aren't the characters that you want to root for, you know?
No, they're not rootable characters. They're not likable characters.
Right, exactly. But at the same time, you know, there's no fun to play in that either. Because you have to have, if you're going to give the audience something to chew on, you have to give them a chance to be able to say, you know what, I can kind of see this from this character's perspective, this character that you're playing in this upcoming show.
I'll give you a classic example. Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Hannibal Lecter. You can always
they
hear
love to hate him.
Fava beans with liver. Delicious. It goes with a nice claret, you know. That's it. But you go, you squirm, but you go, yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
There's just something about some of those classic characters, like Ronny Cox. You know, perfect example. You worked with that fellow guitar player. You worked with him in Disclosure. Is probably the classic character that pretty much every Stargate fan says that they just hate that guy. And I was talking about this, I think, with David Hewlett earlier today. It was like, you hate him because it's working. You know, you don't hate him because it's a bad performance. You know it's a good performance.
You hate him because it's too good.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That was Ronnie in real life. Is just the nicest guy you'll ever meet. And a great musician. You know? Right.
Absolutely.
Don't you remember him from the first RoboCop movie?
Dick Jones.
Remember that?
Yep.
And he was the great villain there too.
Absolutely.
But oh yeah, and Miguel Ferrer. I remember Miguel on that. Miggy. Yeah, I did a series with Miguel from that show called Broken Badges a long time ago. Poor Miggy, he's no longer with us. He passed away last year or 2 years ago. Can't remember. But yeah, that's the thing. But every character, no character is well, you know, some people may draw characters that are one-dimensional, but no actor worth his salt is ever going to play a character one-dimensional. It just doesn't work.
No, and they don't get their own spaceships.
Yeah, and they don't get their own spaceship. And they asked for a spaceship. That was a running gag on Stargate. You got all you guys, you're going up in spaceships. When do I get to go up in a spaceship? Where's my spaceship? And this is I'm asking the producers, like, you know, for real. And they're going, oh, you'll get it.
You'll get it all right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you'll get it. But, I thought that was so much fun.
The Russians were promised the next the one that came off the assembly line would be theirs, and the one after that would be the Sun Tzu or the Phoenix, I think. But eventually, you know, those governments had those arrangements, and it only made sense for your character to be able to have that position. And the fact that not only did you have that role, but you were surrounded on set with Russian cast. You know?
Oh, yeah, they were all Russians. They said my Russian was good.
Yeah,
I played a Russian a few times. I was a Russian on a thing called haunted stories or the haunted or something like that. It's a kids show about eerie things happening, and I played a Russian who created Golem, which was quite fun. Yeah, that's now I'm doing a cartoon, Hunting Monsters.
all right.
And that's another great fun show that should, but I won't hear anything about that for a while because we're still recording. But so much fun. And I got nice feedback from the producers on that too about storytelling.
Now, are you able to do all that from your house?
No, I did the movie Cats and Dogs from here.
Oh, okay.
Cats and Dogs 3. I played the old golden retriever, old Gord or something, or old Mike. But yeah, I recorded it right here.
Wow. Okay.
And I thought I was doing a scratch, and they actually used it. So.
Oh wow! Hey, there. Yeah. Well, that's why you keep the record button on.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Well, here's the thing. All you really need, for a studio is a good mic, a good preamp, and a GarageBand.
Yeah.
And a good audio interface.
Absolutely.
Like Apogee or one of those there. I'm using right now, I'm only using Steinberg, to 2-channel thing that works pretty good.
But it also helps to have some talent to know what you're doing too.
Well, yeah, you got to know what you're doing.
Right.
Because I've been doing a bunch of little things. I was doing these things from a friend of mine in Toronto. And as you walk through the front door, turn to your left and see a island kitchen with all the latest and modern appliances, looking out over a wondrous view of the Don Valley. That's called virtual house tours.
Wow.
To do those, and that's fun.
That's crazy.
I know, just wild, but you can do it.
Absolutely.
I just watched another one from a gal from here who sells these multi-million-dollar, $9 million, $12 million homes, and she goes, "I look at this counter. Isn't it cool? This is a cool counter. I think it's made out of stone." And I'm going, not the way to sell a house. Yeah, and we have a bedroom here, and here's a living room, and with great view, hey?
Great view, eh?
Oh my God. I'm going, you're trying to sell this place? You gotta develop, get some good writing, because oh my God. I'm looking at him going, yes, I'm in the market for a $12 million house, but not this one.
Jeez.
I don't know, it's funny, but it's like, if you're going to, put all that money in production, at least get a decent person to tell your story and a decent
That's
writer.
fair. Yeah, no, I mean, it's like so much of that hangs off of, how it's presented and how it's told.
Presented. It's like that guy on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, or Lifestyles of the Billionaires or something. To me, that stuff is just like this sort of gross wealth. I have a 100-bedroom house. Only me and my wife live here, but
right, and a golden toilet.
I have a gold toilet. I just remember Trump's going to a tour on Trump's apartment during one episode of The Apprentice, and I remember that was the first season. I kind of liked it, and
I never saw it.
And the consolations, you get to go on a tour of Trump's house and have dinner there with Melania, and you go into this huge apartment, and it's just the most garish. It looks like something that Liberace would do on steroids. It's like everything is gold plated.
Yeah.
Gold plaster, gold desks, gold chairs. I'm going, the hell is all that? It's very uncomfortable on the eyes.
It's a display of wealth that's just that's my issue when I go to Vegas. I mean, you've got all this wealth and it just looks so much of it just looks terrible.
It's tatty.
Yeah.
It's tatty.
I have
some of the rooms in Vegas are pretty nice, I gotta say. I mean, I love and I love that Wynn Hotel, and the Blues one down the other end of the strip. There are some nice ones, but there's some really tatty ones too. But there is a lot of wealth there, but it's easy come, easy go.
That's true.
Everything's designed to lure you.
I have some fan questions for you, if you don't mind.
Yes, by all means, go ahead.
Jet Ison, for Garry, what does Stargate mean to you? It can't just be like another gig that you did. I mean, is it something more?
Well, the thing about Stargate that was so special to me is that I had a lot of history with a lot of the main players in the show. A lot of the cast, it's actually most of the cast, were friends of mine. And when I came on the set, it was like, going to meet with the family and having a great day, having a great week. It was just like it wasn't even work. It was just fun.
And you could take your Australian Shepherd.
And I could take my Aussie Shepherd, which I kept in my trailer because Richard had his dog, and
exactly
somebody else had their dog. Oh, and John Smith had his dog there. It was a dog-friendly set, and there was lots of little dogs running around. And but my dog was very good. She was always there, Harley. Just a sweetheart of a puppy. I miss her. That's the one dog I miss to this day. I haven't had her for probably 15 years, I guess. But I know it was nice to walk onto a set and just know everybody, and know that it wasn't just a job. We did golf tournaments. We had 100th anniversary or 100th show anniversary parties. We had get-togethers on set. We had birthday bouncy tents for bouncy
for Wiley
kids to come
the bouncy castle.
The bouncy castle to come on set for birthdays, and we developed some lifelong friendships on that show. Like Jay Brazeau and I have been friends.
He says hello, by the way.
He does. Well,
yes,
thank you.
Does.
Hello back. No, Jay and I have been friends for nearly 40. Well, no, over 40 years.
Wow.
40 years since we first met in 1980.
Wow.
In Winnipeg, of all places. But and all of them. There's Jay, Gary Jones, and Amanda Tapping. They were all good pals. Paul McGillian. They're just, great people. This when you go to work and you go, yes, going to have fun. So
absolutely, it's going to be a good day.
It was not a. It was not a labor. It was a labor of love. So there you go.
Nate Ewald, do you feel the use of the Cold War trope was appropriate as a storytelling device on SG-1, or would you have rather seen something else come into play?
Well, I think the Cold War trope worked in that, when you're working with the Air Force and they're trying to have superiority, and there is a Stargate in America and there's a Stargate in Russia.
Right.
There was a Russian Stargate, and of course they have, mutual distrust. But I think the thing that gave Stargate its legs with its longevity was it had that kind of rivalry and that kind of tension within the show. and a major overall conflict between these guys and these guys. You know, and then when you bring in the aliens, there now you've got a three-way going, and that's just it's exciting television, and it's compelling to watch because, you know, if you only had the Cold War, that would be boring. If you only had alien visitations, that'd be boring. You know, so you've got to have all these different shows. Like I love the shows with the nanobots. You know, the ones who ate everything. And,
the replicators. Yeah.
Yeah, the replicators. You know, that I love that show. I love the show with the little alien guy. I'm sorry, my memory is
no, it's fine. Yeah, just describe it.
You know that the shiny iridescent alien who I met once.
Who you met once? Oh, yeah. Thor! Absolutely.
Thor, fabulous.
I like working with Puppet.
I like working with Puppet. You know, I go to that and I touch him. He's so smooth. He was very smooth. And it's eerie when you're working with him and his eyes and his mouth and everything, it's all moving and you're going, oh, hello. Yes. But you get sucked in because the puppeteers were excellent on that show.
Absolutely, they were.
And yeah, so I have no qualms about the Cold War trope. I thought it was a good idea, and even today, you know, that still holds. We're sort of embarking on another Cold War.
Mm-hmm. The future is always uncertain, for sure.
I know.
Emily Cheatham, what do you enjoy most about attending the conventions that you've been to?
To tell you the truth, I love the people. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, Stargate fans are basically good people. They're the same people.
Yeah.
You know, they just speak different languages. But they, you know, they love the costumes, they love the shows, they love the stories, and they're wonderful people to talk to and very engaging. And I've met quite a few over the years, and yeah, and their enthusiasm for it. And the thing that I liked about it as well is that here you have a group of like-minded people who get together from all over the world or all over the country, and they're having a blast. They're just having a lot of fun, and they do. They have a pile of fun, and there's nothing more appealing than people having a good time.
Absolutely. Brother Kyle says, and I don't know if this is true, I'm assuming he knows, by far the most impressive thing you do is play guitar upside down.
Yes, I do.
That's hard to do. How did you pull that off? How did you learn to do that?
When I was a teen, young teen, I lived in an isolated world. And in that world, we didn't have left-handed guitars, and everybody who in our house played guitar, but they all played right-handed. So I had assumed that the only guitar there was a right-handed guitar. So I picked one up and I started looking at the music books, and I played a chord, and I went, oh, yeah, it works. So I kept playing, and I had no problems playing it upside down. And by the time I figured out that there was a left-handed guitar, because I'd never seen one, it was too late. I was solidly locked into a left-handed, but I can play a right-handed guitar better than most right-handed guitars can play. You know,
jeez.
That's how it works. And I just got you're talking about you getting questions. I got a question right here.
Okay.
It goes, can you talk about Simon Cliff Simon?
Yes. We lost him a few weeks ago.
Yes, we did. And it was a sad day for that. And he was in a windsurfing accident of all things. In San Diego or somewhere down.
He was out. I forget which beach he frequents, but he was kiteboarding, and I don't know precisely what happened to him, but I know that we lost him. And
yes, I know they didn't go into any details on the
devastating.
Accident, what a lovely man he was, Cliff. I know I've met him quite a few times, and he's always been engaging. He was kind of a new age kind of guy, right?
He did his
And
own thing.
he did his own thing, and he was just wonderful. I really got a kick out of him, and you know, his recordings and some of the things, his philosophy of life, and we had a wonderful time. So I would say, Cliff, rest in peace, man. You went to way too soon.
Absolutely. The Lorraine Black, a couple more, and then I'm gonna let you go. Lorraine Black, what was it like doing Reboot? Now, this was the first CG animated cartoon series.
Yes.
And I remember this back in the day. Warning, incoming game. It was so cool.
Incoming game.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I absolutely loved Reboot. Love the all the in quiet. Loved all this. My dog.
That's all right.
My wife's dog. But see, she's sitting up there, sunning herself up there on. If you can, you can't see the. Top
I can't. Yeah.
But there.
Hi, puppy.
If you look right at the top of the stairs, there, she's sitting. Yeah, there she is, sitting right. If you could see, she's right there.
Okay. Just a little nubbin.
Just a little nubbin of a dog. But she's a pain.
Aww.
Anyway, no, but she likes me somehow.
There she is.
As I was saying,
Reboot.
Reboot. I loved Reboot. Reboot was just Phil Hayes and I, and then Scott McNeil and I played these two characters, Hack and Slash. And that was Slash. My favorite thing was push the button. Push the button. I don't want to push the button. Every time I push the button, something bad happens. The fight will kill us. Hold me. And we'd make up dialogue for the scenes, and we'd have script, and we'd read the script, and then we'd do the same scene, but with improv dialogue. And a lot of times they use the improv dialogue. So it was a lot of fun, lots of in-jokes in the show, and computer jokes that are kind of dated now, but
right.
Back then they were like state-of-the-art. The people were terrific. Michael Benyer played Bob, and he was good. Kathleen Barr played Dot.
That's right.
And myself, I played Doc Fingers slash Doc Fingers. No, Doc Fingers slash Turbo, Cyrus, and someone else I can't remember. But all I remember is those my digits. My digits.
You talk about a show that really pushed, the envelope, and so much of what we have now, was built on the back of shows like it,
Well, the thing is that nobody thought that a CGI show could be done.
Yeah.
Because Toy Story
right
took, to do 1 minute of film took thousands of hours of programming.
And rendering and everything.
And all the rendering, everything took thousands and thousands of hours. But we had a bank of computers and computer technology that make those mega computers at Langley look like, Atari stations. And these guys, they'd be churning out these, and he goes, I says, well, Toy Story is pretty good. And he goes, Toy Story. We put out one movie and it takes them 2 years. We're putting out a series. And that sort of launched a lot of other series. Like there was ReBoot, there was Transformers.
Absolutely.
Beast Machines. There's Beast Machines or Beast Wars, Transformers, Weirdos, War Planets. What was the other show? There were some other shows that they did. I just can't remember them right up. the Halloween one.
Oh.
The Halloween one with the witch and the scary godmother. Scary godmother, that was the one. But they launched a lot of shows, and then after that, with that, now that this new software had been developed, and other production companies saw that it was indeed possible to put shows out. Now you have a whole pile of shows
left and right
are CGI, which is kind of cool. I like the movies. My favorites. One of my favorite movies is the Despicable Me.
Yes.
You talk about a villain who is so lovable. I love that cartoon. I love the Minions. That was everything about that show made me laugh.
My parents love it. I've not really seen it, but they have actually watched it and they like it. It's good stuff.
So, Ice Age.
Oh, Ice Age is great.
Uh-oh. I just got word. It flashed across my screen that my internet or your internet is unstable.
It's all good. We're going to wrap it up on this side here. But anyway. Gary, I really appreciate you taking the time, and rest in peace, Colonel Chekov. He got what he wanted at the end of the day. He got a glorious send off, and what an arc for a character. Over 5 seasons.
I know, it was just wonderful. I mean, for me, it was a real growth experience for me. It was just a life-changing experience for me. I just thought that all the stuff that went on in that show was just brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And I had so much fun with those guys, and I'm hoping someday to have fun with them again.
Absolutely.
I do work with the odd ones every once in a while, but
Brad Wright.
It seems like everybody's retired.
Well, Brad's still going. He's
I know,
hoping to get SG-4 out, so we'll see what happens. I'm rooting for him.
Well, me too. Anyway, I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come to me and talk to me, and we'll see you again in the future, I hope.
Absolutely.
We'll see when I got some more new stuff to report.
I would have a final request before you go.
Yes.
Would you do Optimus Prime for me?
The keys to the future lie buried in the past. Watch out, Megatron. Maximals, maximize!
Thank you so much, my friend.
No, my pleasure.
You take care of yourself, all right?
You bet. You too. Have a good time.
Be well, Gary.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Garry Chalk, everyone. Garry Chalk. Colonel Chekov. Stargate SG-1. And one of the Optimus Primes. My name is David Reed. You're watching Dial the Gate. Thank you so much for joining me. We have a giveaway for this month. Dial the Gate has partnered with Big J Customs for the month of April to give you a chance to get your very own custom pop figure. To enter to win these items, you need to use a desktop or laptop computer and go to dialthegate.com and scroll down to submit trivia questions. Your trivia may be used in a future episode of Dial the Gate, either for our monthly trivia night or for a special guest to ask me in a round of trivia. There are 3 slots for trivia, 1 easy, 1 medium, and 1 hard. Only 1 needs to be filled in, but you're more than welcome to submit up to 3. Please note the submission form does not currently work for mobile devices. Your trivia must be received before May the 1st, 2021. Of course. If you're the lucky winner, I'll be notifying you via your email to get your address. And be sure to check out our partner's website for more Stargate-related merchandise at bigjcustomsart.com. I have a few questions submitted to, more than a few. Okay. Questions submitted to me here over the course of the afternoon. I wanted to wait until we could get to them because I knew David and I would probably take the full 2 hours, which we did. Scotty0709, will there be trivia between you and the guests soon? I'd like to know who's the ultimate David, for example. We do need to schedule another one. The calendar is pretty booked for the rest of this month, so I'll get in touch with Darren and see about putting another one on the books again. I would like to do another larger group. I'm curious to see if everyone likes the larger groups for the trivia or the smaller, more intimate groups for trivia. Ryan James 170. Who makes these ZPMs that you mentioned in the David Hewlett interview? I don't know if he's still doing it. I need to check with him first. But I will, if he is okay with me sharing the information, because he may just not be doing them. He may not want any orders. I'll look for a comment from David Reed from my personal account in the comments feed below this one. But give me a couple days on this, because as soon as I wrap this up, I head out to work. So I need to check and see if he'd be interested in doing one for David's friend first, and then we'll go from there. But they're the closest replicas that I've seen, and I've seen a number of 0 Point Module fan made ones. They just don't look right. The cap is too thick on the top, and the crystals where they meet at the bottom are too small. And I mean, it's just someone's like done Mark 1 eyeball transfer from one to the other, and it just. So the one that this guy did, I mean, I'm convinced that they're the most accurate ones that are out there, and they were beautiful. And I want to have one back here as a lantern on one of the shelves, even though I've completely run out of space. Toon Tamasha, in your opinion, what should a new gate do? Spin, light up, both something else? What should the new gate do? I mean, the spinning is always really cool, but the spinning is really expensive for a practical set. I would be cool with some kind of a light up. My issue with the Atlantis one was that when the constellation would go around, it would go around in boxes. It wasn't a freely moving constellation. And I would like to see something where the you had the full range of movement of the lights for when it did do those lights, rather than just the sections of slots where there would be a space for each individual constellation. So something like that. Damon Smallwood, why is it so hard to come out with a Stargate game? License problems? That is a big question. The resources that go into a game are extensive. I won't get into what happened with Stargate Worlds other than to say that there was financial mismanagement. The game was really going places. It did have its issues, but those could have easily been worked out if it had the financial resources. There was allocation to other gaming projects before the first game was out. And it was this idea of, well, we need to diversify our portfolio. That's what I remember hearing a lot. And my understanding is that the finances weren't there to get the project finished, and they started cutting people as a result. I know people who were going in there and who were basically working for free. They were not getting a paycheck. And then MGM pulled the plug when they weren't seeing the milestones be hit. A few years later, we had the I forget who it was. Was it Perpetual Entertainment? Someone who put out the mobile game for SG-1, which was actually pretty darn good. They put out two episodes of that, and I was really disappointed that the third one didn't come out. And I just think it was just too expensive. We get this idea, and the Stargate fan base is really guilty of it when you go into Facebook and say, well, why can't we have this? Why can't we have that? You know, because Stargate's just as big as Star Wars or Star Trek. No, it's not. You know, it's a fraction of the size of them both, the fan base. There are plenty of viewers out there, but they're very casual viewers. There's a reason why when, you know, Gary Jones or someone else comes on and we mention certain fans, they're like, oh, I know those fans, because there's only a certain number of fans that percolate to the top and go to events and things like that. It's that small of a community. There are plenty of people who casually watch the show, but there are only a certain number of people who are crazy about it. So if you want to go forward and have a project come out, you know, you have to be willing to, in many cases, pay for it up front. That's one of the things that's really cool about how well the Stargate role-playing game did financially. I was very pleased at how much how well that did financially with the Kickstarter. But let me just say, it's not guaranteed that the Kickstarting platform will always be a thing that you can use. A lot of that is up to the license holder as to whether or not you can even use that kind of system to draw in money. So we'll see what happens there. Numerous people had to say, what happened to that magnificent painting of McKay and Shepard in harmony? Was it auctioned off? Yes, it was. It most definitely was auctioned off. I think this is it. So this is book 1 of Stargate Artifacts from PropWorks, which I produced, and we did 2 live auctions. Let me see here. Un momento, por favor. Sold off set pieces. If this isn't the right one, I'm going to be really embarrassed. Come on. See here. I love these books. We did these high quality images on pretty much every piece that we sold. I did all the descriptions for all of them. The images were the real thing for me. I wanted there to be an existing copy of this content out there. Yeah. For the fans to receive, and I mean these books are pretty much impossible to get now. So this was the lot for the Harmony painting. If it will come into focus here. Is it going to come into focus? Kinda. Harmony's Victory painting. And I can't remember exactly how much it went for. But it did pretty darned well. So I'll put it that way. So PropWorks was one of the greatest couple of years of my life. And it was the only reason that I ever lived in LA. Never lived there again. But that was terrific. So we sold that. It was auctioned off for sure. That's everything that I have right here. Oh, merchandise. Dial the Gate is brought to you every week for free, and we do appreciate you watching. But if you want to support the show further, buy or sell some of our themed swag. We're now offering t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, and hoodies for all ages in a variety of sizes and colors at Redbubble. And we currently offer 4 themed designs and hope to add more in the future. Let me see here. Checkout is fast and easy, and you can use your Amazon or PayPal account. Just visit dialthegate.redbubble.com, and we do appreciate your support. That's pretty much everything that I've got for you guys. Next week is going to be a pre-recorded show. We have Carl Binder recorded so far. We have not yet recorded Robert C. Cooper. I'm hoping that we can do that this week. So Robert, the interview, the pre-recorded slot may be bumped to later. So we're going to have to wait and see for that. I'm also going to try this week and sit down and do a review of Stargate SG-1 Season 1 of concept art. I'd like to go season by season because I have archives of this stuff, and I'd really like to take you through some of the concept art that was created for the show. I don't know if anyone's going to watch that, though. It just might be Mr. Fred Rogers just sitting, taking you through the concept art, and everyone may go to sleep. But we're going to try it and see what happens. And I need to sit down and organize that. So there's that. So that's going to be happening. So April the 18th, we're planning on premiering that at 11. If I can get my button gear, we'll do that. Carl Binder, we had a wonderful hour-and-a-half conversation with Carl Binder. Talk about a man with a wealth of stories and knowledge from that production. He was fascinating to talk with, and just really, really a joy to have him on the show. And we'll see about getting Robert C. Cooper this week. But if not, we may bump that one. Then for April the 25th, Sally Malcolm will be joining us at 10 a.m. Pacific time, Fandemonium founder and novelist. And she may be bringing on a couple of extra novelists. We're not entirely sure, but we'll see about that. That's up for her. So she's definitely going to be joining us from the UK. Joseph Malazzi will be tuning in with us April 25th at 12 noon Pacific. And for part 7 of his discussion with us on season 9 of SG-1, and Musetta Vander Shawnok from Stargate SG-1 will be joining us April 25th at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Then May the 2nd, Todd Masters, prosthetics makeup artist. I'm really excited about this one. Part of my love of this program is to be able to reach out to people, not only that I once knew while the show was in production, but getting a chance to talk with people that I never really had a chance to talk with before. And so Todd's definitely one of them. I mean, and his wealth of knowledge is extraordinary. The stuff that he has worked on, Star Trek First Contact. I mean, this guy's been around all kinds of zombie projects and everything that you can possibly imagine. The stuff that he can do with makeup is just outrageous. And we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to invite you to ask questions as well. I think that's everything that I have for you guys here. I just want to give a huge shout out and thanks to Tracy and the team. Keith, Jeremy, Reese, Anthony, Summer, Jennifer Kirby, Gate Gabber, Linda Fury. You guys make the show possible. And happy birthday again, Anthony. Appreciate you doing the show on your birthday. So that's all I've got. I appreciate you tuning in, and we'll be seeing you on the other side next week. I'm David Reed for Dial the Gate.